I'm here, Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Get ready for a piece of me.
Where'd you go?
Where are you going?
What to do?
What are you doing?
Take me to. I'm living my best life.
Hi, welcome back to Living My Fest Life, a podcast about festivals, fairs, events, and experiences, everything from the nationally known to the local and obscure. And today I'm talking about an annual celebration that has happened since 2017. I'm talking about the Women's March. Now, I know getting political isn't something everybody likes to do, and I do admit who I voted for in this episode, and whether you disagree or agree with my political opinions, I hope that you still listen to this episode and keep an open mind about different people's point of views that might not be similar to yours, or if you have the same point of view, hey, that's cool too. I'm just glad we got to sit down and talk about this topic because it's something I'm very passionate about, and I think it's a very interesting event that will live on throughout history as a very important time in our lives and something that we all came together to do. And I'm very excited to talk to Alison, so let's get to it.
I'm living my best life.
I am with Alison Rampa.
Hi.
Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Of course. I've known you forever, and I'm like, how long have I not said your name out loud to you to be corrected?
Yeah, not much.
So you are a teacher.
Uh-huh.
You are an improviser, an actress and singer. You are a comedian. You are a mom and a wife and a pinup and all these amazing things.
I'm really impressive.
You
I
are.
had no idea. Thank you.
And may I also be so bold to label you as a feminist?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when we say the F word,
Mm-hmm.
some people might be taking a strew
Yeah.
and says, I don't agree with that. But I think they maybe not know what it is.
Right.
Yeah. So what is it to you?
Feminism to me just means I believe in the equality of the sexes.
Exactly.
Yeah. I listen to a lot of Beyonce, and so I know all about it. No, not really. Feminism is just, I was always raised to believe that I am just as good as boys.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, my very first feminist thought was when I was like 6, and I was like, it's better to be a girl because girls can wear both pants and skirts.
I had the same exact thought. I was like, how do you guys not know the delicious feeling of freedom to kick your legs up and down like this?
Yeah, just woo,
Yeah.
and not have anything binding me at the waist.
Twirling?
What? Just
Yes.
twirl? Oh my God, the twirling.
The twirling.
If men were given the freedom to twirl,
Mhm.
I think this would be a better world.
And I was trying to explain toxic masculinity to someone the other day, and I said, you know, I'm so against toxic masculinity. And I think they thought I said, I'm against masculinity.
Uh-huh.
And I said, no, actually, the thing that I want for men, I love men so much, that I want them to be able to like poetry.
Yes.
I want them to be able to have mental health counseling and feel free to talk about it. I want all the toxic things that come with the stigma of being a man to be eliminated for them, so they're free to be any kind of man that they want to be.
Yes, the patriarchy hurts everyone.
Right. Yeah.
It's not, yeah, it is. I'm raising a little boy, and I have a wonderful husband who's an incredible feminist.
Yeah.
And we are trying our best to like guide him to all the cool things that are out there in the world for everybody to enjoy.
Right. I mean, recently, I think it was someone on the Today Show who made fun of male ballet dancers.
Oh my God.
And I was like, do you know the strength that it takes to be a ballet dancer? Especially as a man, you have to lift everybody up. And you know, I just think that you nailed it on the head. The textbook definition of feminism is equality between the sexes. So it's not, when people say feminism, it's not women thinking they deserve to run the world or that they deserve special treatment. It's all about equality. Yeah. And with men.
Sure.
Feminism is men being equal to women as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Why do you think so many people get that wrong?
I think it's willful misunderstanding because God knows it's been explained over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
It's very funny. Gloria Steinem, I read her book and then I started like watching videos. She's literally saying the exact same words over and over and over again.
She's like, I can't get this twisted because you'll twist my words. So I'm just saying the same sentence.
It's literally the video from her in the 70s is almost word for word what she is saying today, just because and as a teacher, as an improviser, I feel like I need to say it in a bunch of different ways so you can understand. Nope. We just have to keep repeating the truth, and the truth will piss you off, and then it'll set you free.
I remember when I became an outspoken feminist, I was always a minor feminist, and then I also did not know what feminism is, and I thought, well, women are already equal, and that's when I was in high school, and then I got into the job market and realized, no, we're not, and then I got really loud about feminism. I remember watching, it was Miss United States pageant. Did you see this one?
No.
And one of the questions was, are you a feminist?
Yeah.
One of the contestants said, well, yes, because feminism is believing that women and men are equal or should be treated equal. She did not win. The woman who won said, I'm not a feminist. I'm an equalitist. And then she won.
It's just parsing words.
It's the same thing. You said the same thing, but made it seem like the real definition is wrong.
Right.
So I did not like that. So
yeah.
So why? So we're talking about the Women's March, obviously, and let's just go back a little history. Let's see. When did you start being outspoken? I guess.
Well,
or you consider yourself outspoken?
I don't know.
You?
I've always been outspoken.
Yeah.
I think. I have friends that support me in my outspokenness.
Which is very important.
Yes.
Especially for people who say, people send me messages all the time saying, thanks for saying that. I could never say that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the person who is saying stuff, but I silently want to be liking all your posts and then DMing you behind your back saying, good job. Thanks for saying that for all of us.
For being the thing. So my friend Erica Henry Chiswick, it's her name now. We were friends since high school, and she's always been a bad bitch. And that has helped me try to tap into my own inner bad bitch. When Hillary Clinton was running, Erica reached out and she's like, hey, I'm working on the campaign, because she had worked on Obama's campaign. She had people sleeping on her floor, going out and knocking on doors, coming in from all over the country. And she wasn't getting that same kind of response in 2016. So she was reaching out to her friends hey, can you help? So I was doing phone banks. I was knocking on doors. This was the first time I really got involved in politics, because I've always been a supporter of women. I was ladies doing it for themselves kind of thing. But I've also been busy building a life like all of us. Yeah. And it's hard to be involved in politics.
Would you consider the Women's March to be political?
I come from it from a political point of view.
Yes.
But what I think is nice is that there is not one way to do feminism. And there's not one way to do the Women's March. You can be marching for a lot of different reasons.
And they actually list all the reasons to march. You can just pick the one that you relate to the best.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that is what I like best about it, is it tries to be inclusive. It tries to be intersectional. And that's all we can do, is we can try as best we can. Sometimes we fail and sometimes we mess up.
So you were getting political before this last election.
Yeah. 2016, I really was pushing for it because, God, the thing that got me was that after 8 years of Obama, right? That the number of African-American women graduating from college was up by this incredible number. And I'm sorry, I don't have the actual numbers, but I was like, if the father of African-American girls, that has to influence, not his policy necessarily, but the personal is the political. And God, if a woman who's also a mother and is also a grandmother can be in power, what could that do for the women of America?
Yeah.
And I was very enamored by that. I was very enamored by the idea of a female president. So,
as am I.
Yeah.
And I have jokes about that in my act, and I make sarcasm about it just because I have never... I remember first time I saw myself represented in a movie or someone who's like me doing anything, and you think, that could be me one day. There's never been a president that I'm like, that could be me one day.
Yes. Well, and
I've never thought that.
And I've seen and I saw as a teacher,
Yeah.
I saw what President Obama and that representation, just the Obamas in general, being in a position of power, did for my African American students.
Yeah.
And the hope that was brought, and people are going to roll their eyes and say that's, cockamamie, kind of like
that's cheesy.
That's cheesy,
yeah.
but it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it.
Yeah.
And I also saw, because I teach students who are immigrants, and I teach students who are here with family who may or may not be here legally. And I saw the fear that was surrounding the 2016 election. So that also influenced my participation. And so it was the first time I really was knocking doors and putting on signs, and
because you saw the people this was actually affecting too, and the families. Like, I think a lot of us who don't work with children, don't work with other families, kind of who stay in our lane, don't talk to our neighbors, don't know about what's going on in our community, it's easier for us to make the choice of what's best for me. But when you actually think outside of yourself and what's best for my community, what's best for my neighbor, you have to open your eyes and expand a little bit more and make those tough decisions. Like, well, how much money am I willing to spend to help out the person next to me? Are their rights equal to mine? And of course they are. So how am I going to fight for them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I did feel like it was a fight. Yeah, you're right. It felt like a fight. And I was positive that we were gonna win.
Yeah, girl, I went to that. I spent my Halloween at that not debate, but just that visit. Like, Hillary came to town, like, on Halloween. I remember being like, I had a costume, I had all those plans, and then I was like, oh no, I'm going to show up at noon and get in that little corral. And I sat right behind her. I was on TV. I was right there. Yeah.
I was there earlier when Elizabeth Warren was there at the Union Terminal, and saw Elizabeth Warren talk, and she was amazing. And then I saw Hillary talk, and she was.
Well, she brought out the Gabrielle Gifford too, which was tears coming through my eyes because she was shot in the head. Yeah. And here she is in front of people again, just saying, I will not be afraid of you. You can't silence me. And walking walking after all that trauma. It was I just kept crying. I was like, this is just so empowering and so inspiring. Yeah. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I felt very fired up in 2016. And I have a very specific memory. So comedy memory. So I did, the No Theater did a election show, and everyone was there, and we're drinking. It was after I had taken the day off to work the polls, in November, and, the day of the election. And so I was working the polls. I had on my, I was passing out yellow roses.
Oh, cute!
Yeah, right? Because that's what they did, for suffrage.
Yes.
What a dummy.
No! I look back sometimes and think about how enthusiastic I was.
What a big dummy.
I had this scarf that I tucked it away for the polls because you're not allowed to wear anything political while you're voting. And as soon as I ran out, I was waving it in the air.
Yeah.
Yeah. And my husband looked at me. He goes, she's not going to win. And just completely crushed. It's like he was looking at me being excited. Yeah. And I don't know if he wanted to
temper.
Just, it's like you're
just don't get disappointed.
Yeah, just something like that. And I was.
Yeah, me too. Well, Erica was because she had been working on this campaign the hardest, and she was like, I don't think it's going to happen. I was like, you're insane. Yeah. You were insane. You're dramatic. She's always been dramatic. So I just thought she was being dramatic.
Yeah. What, did you watch it together?
No, I was at the No Theater doing sketches, and I had started the night. The night started great.
You were happy.
I was I was doing a bit where I was drunk feminist. And there's a picture of
I'm
me.
already wanting to know.
Yes, with the heart t-shirt that said nasty and a blue blazer, and I'm just middle finger, and I'm drinking, and my whole bit, the bit killed because I went on about 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And the Vic killed, and I was like telling the guys they had to start drinking barefoot wine and out of a big old glass because just things are going to be reversed from now on, guys.
Come on, guys.
It's fine. It's cool, but
Yeah.
you know. And then the night went on, and it was like being at a funeral. It was. Like, I'm glad I was there surrounded by my friends who do, like, art and do comedy. And, yeah, that was a rough night. I remember going home at, like, midnight, just listening to Beyonce and Lemonade, I think it just dropped.
Oh,
or
wow.
It was either Lemonade or her self-titled album. No, it was Lemonade. And just bawling my eyes out. And I'm like, they can't take this away from us. And I'm driving at nighttime.
I kept thinking there was going to be a revote.
Me too.
I was like, well, she won the popular vote. How do we... And my friend had come over with a bottle of champagne because we were going to toast the first woman president. And the polls started coming in, and we were like, that's fine. There's just a lot of more states to add up and all this stuff. And then when they started calling, like, the look that we kept giving each other across the room was like, do we drink it just to feel better? Or, like, do we... And I remember going to bed that night being like, my mom is a hairdresser, and she's in her 60s, and she had cancer. And I remember thinking, like, how is she going to get universal health care? I just remember all these worries just, like, kind of flooded me that very moment. So I didn't have Beyonce to lean back on.
Right.
I think I went to sleep, and I was like, when I wake up, it'll be fine.
It'll be like
It'll be fine.
Something will have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was rough. And I was in there were people in mourning. We were in mourning. It was seriously depressing.
And why do you... Because I have followers that probably did not vote for Hillary or probably had their reasons to do stuff. How do we explain to them what it meant to us? I'm trying to think of ways to say how that affected us without them
rolling their eyes.
Yeah, because I respect... I see people as individuals who have their right to their opinions and stuff. For me, I think of the greater good and how it affects other... Not that they don't. Yeah. It's just different strokes for different folks. But for me, there was a lot of medical questions. There was a lot of immigration issues, LGBT rights. And then the things that were really affecting me was the way he was talking to women. Yeah. And grab him by the pussy. All these things that I felt very offended by.
There were so many times when I was like, oh, well, he can't be elected now.
No, yeah. And I'll go on the record. I liked The Apprentice. I loved watching that show. It was a good show for me.
That first season where they had to make ice cream into the ice cream stand, but then they made donut ice cream so they could sell it all day long. That was compelling.
I loved the characters and how he would tell famous people that they're I just thought it was very good entertainment. And I was like, I don't hate him as an entertainer.
No.
I just don't want these ideas to be accepted. I don't want people to feel free to say things about women or about, handicapped people, or I just don't want that hate going around. So
I literally had students who were on vacation in Puerto Rico, and after the election, I didn't know if they were going to come back.
Wow.
It was that.
Yeah.
And then when they did, and one of the girls came up to me and she's like, I can't believe that happened.
And Puerto Rico is part of the United States.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But people don't think so.
Nope. Nope.
There's a lot of confusion going on.
A lot of confusion. So, yeah. It was, again, it was a lot of fear and a lot of clenched buttocks.
So, that was November 2016.
Yep.
In January 2017,
yes,
what happens is incredible.
No.
Incredible.
Well, we needed something. We needed some way to focus our attention. A woman named Teresa Shook, who lives in Hawaii,
Yes.
posted on Facebook that she thought we should have a women's march. Just to say, we're still here.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all. When I came at it, that's all I wanted to, that's all I did. That's all I wanted to like express. We're still here.
Yeah.
Hey, you maybe won, Mr. Trump. But what we have to say still matters.
Right. Because there was a fear too, because he got to appoint the next justice of the Supreme
Yes.
Court. There was a lot of like, how is this going to affect women versus Roe v. Wade?
Yep.
How is this going to affect a lot of things?
Yeah.
So women as a, I wouldn't say
Demographic?
I wouldn't even say minority gender, because we
Yeah.
make up
We're
more.
Yep.
51% of the United States. So
I
we're not
believe so.
technically a minority, but we're treated like a anyway. Had to come out and say we respect ourselves,
Yep.
and these are still things that we need to
Yeah.
be humans functioning in this society.
Yeah.
We need equal pay. We need rights to our own bodies.
Yep.
We need affordable housing and education. We need LGBTQ protection. We need what were the other things that we march for now?
Disability rights.
Yes.
Civil rights. Lifting, because, you know, any woman who is not being treated equally, or any woman who is being held down, that's every woman is being held down.
And even as a woman who doesn't get equal pay, like on top of that, women of color don't even make a fraction of that. I mean, it's just, and it needs to be intersectional, and it needs to be inclusive.
Yep.
I got schooled on white feminism.
Yep.
After that women's march as well, because I had no idea there was a lot of exclusionary people
within the movement.
Yeah.
And again, I think we made mistakes in the first women's march. I don't think it was perfect, but God, I'm glad it happened.
Holy crap. To see, first of all, so you attended the one in Cincinnati, so did I.
I attended the one in Washington.
Shut up.
No.
Oh my goodness. We both literally we just scooted closer to each other on the couch.
Yeah, I went to Washington.
Okay, tell me everything.
So I got on a bus at like 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, you saw the post on Facebook from, and then you heard about the planning of the march in Washington.
Heard about the planning.
What made you go, I need to be there at that one?
As soon as I heard about it,
Wow.
I was like, I have to be there.
Because different cities were doing their own marches, and even internationally.
Yes.
People in different countries.
Yep. There were 408 sister marches and 81 additional marches around the world.
Shut up.
Yeah. So 408 in the United States alone.
Oh my goodness.
And then an extra 81 just around the world. There are people in Antarctica marching. It was like penguins and a couple women in the Arctic Circle.
Can you imagine? I think we probably shifted the Earth off the axis from all that marching.
Yeah. And
That's
I was just
incredible.
Like, I want to be heard.
Right.
Because I felt there was like this big like...
Yeah.
In November in the election results, we're ready to scream, and then we were just stifled.
And I felt like I was screaming, but I was getting screamed at back on Facebook by people who disagree with me louder and more angry, and I don't know. I've fought more with people online, and I am embarrassed by it, being a keyboard warrior. But literally, I had never felt this passionate.
Yeah. And I was in Hamilton. I was in Hamilton, Ohio.
Yeah.
Which I love Hamilton, Ohio. It's a wonderful place. We're really coming up. We have a really good bakery. So, yeah, but I was there and I was like, I'm alone. It felt very much like, oh, snap.
Yeah.
I assumed people had the same values as I did.
Yeah.
But clearly they don't. And they're all around me. So I was like, I need to go to Washington. I need to go to Washington and be surrounded by people who believe the same thing that I do.
So you got on a bus.
I got on a bus. It was like 10 o'clock at night.
I just picture you with your vintage pinup suitcase, your hair in curlers, and with a bus ticket. And they're like, Allison, you can do that on your phone. Like, no, I went to the Greyhound. And
I need to be here.
I printed out my ticket. It's in my billfold. And I'm here.
I'm here, Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Get ready for a piece of me. Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. I put on lots of thick socks because it was supposed to be very cold.
Very chilly. Why did we do this in January, by the way?
Because it was the inauguration day. And
it was inauguration day.
Yeah.
I was, for me, because we wanted to send that for me, it came, okay, so you're a little bit more informed than I am. For me, I saw postings about it. I was like, for sure, I'm going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do it in the way that I can do it, which is to show up. I made a sign.
Yep.
I marched. I chanted. I met other women.
Yes.
It felt really good. I felt in a community,
Uh-huh.
and I felt safe, and I felt heard,
Mhm.
and it felt good. And I think any kind of peaceful protest like that, you just want to
Mhm.
know that
Yeah.
there are people like that. You're not alone. I
Yep.
think that's just you.
That was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I felt very, very alone in November and December of 2017.
So you get off the bus like
Or
Miley
2016.
Cyrus with your
Yep.
dream in your cardigan.
The Jamie cardigan and my hair up, Rosie the Riveter.
Yes.
And
did you know other people?
I did. I went with my friend Erica Minton,
Okay.
and her friend and her friend's daughter, who was like 12.
Nice.
And I went on the bus down with them and sat up all night because you got to. And they dropped us off somewhere. And we just start going towards like the traffic. Like we just start trying to find.
Did you get a hotel? Did you stop? No, just right off the bus.
Just right off the bus because we were going to get back on the bus
hell
and go right
up.
back
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
That is badass.
So I just jump off the bus. I have a sign that says "No, you move" because I'm a nerd, and that's from Captain America.
Yeah.
And it was signed on the back by all my students who wanted their names there in DC. So I shared this experience with my students. I don't try to hide who I am from
Yeah.
them because it's too difficult.
Yeah. But you're probably also not.
I don't preach from the pulpit.
You don't preach from the
No.
pulpit, which I think is important because people have to. I think just
I just said,
presenting
"This is what I do."
information
Mhm.
and saying this is my opinion and you have yours and
Yep.
I have mine is
This
a
is
good,
who I am.
respectful way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I
Mhm.
can't hide who I am.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if you want to, this is just because,
Yeah.
I want to be heard. And I went and I had my sign and we couldn't find it because
Bunch of women getting lost.
But there were huge crowds and I'm like, when are we going to get to this march?
Yeah.
It's because there were too many people that we outgrew the marching area.
The meeting area.
The meeting area. So there was no way to actually march because there were too many people.
What a nice problem to
I
have.
know. We ended up cutting through the National Art Museum. So I had to leave my sign. I couldn't take it in.
Yeah.
So I spent all this time making this beautiful sign. And then we left it there along with thousands of signs.
Which I think is,
So cool.
if you're going to litter.
Litter that way.
Yeah.
And it's part of an art exhibit now. Like they collect them. So
I'm
I don't
sure they
know.
would have. Yeah.
So my sign is within that somewhere.
That's amazing.
So we cut through the art museum. We got some lunch or breakfast or whatever because literally been sitting up all night and it was very frosty and cold. And we cut through and it's just like seeing our treasures. And so that was lovely. And cut right through and we're on the steps and there's a sea, like a river of women moving very slowly. And I was like, that must be the march.
Yeah.
And so we join it. It wasn't. It wasn't.
It was a line for the bathroom.
It was a line for the bathroom. There were only 2 bathrooms in all of DC.
Can you believe it?
And we had to line up.
And everybody synced up at the
Yep.
same exact. Okay.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
the fun part of the bus too. Is that all the buses were going down. It was a huge caravan
Yeah.
from all the states going to DC, and we would go to the rest stop, and it'd just be all pink hats.
I love it.
And we're like, we're taking over the men's
I
bathroom.
didn't know about the pink hat thing. See, I didn't get the memo, and I was like,
didn't
why are
either.
they wearing these pink hats? And I didn't understand it
Yeah.
until later.
Yeah, and I get that it is controversial. I also am pro crafting in any capacity. I get that some people didn't feel that it included them.
Right.
But what it did do is it kept Trump from saying, those are my supporters. No, they're not. They're all
Yeah.
wearing pink hats, and you can tell. So there was no way to get that twisted when they took photos from above of our numbers,
Right.
which were 500,000. They expected about 100,000. We had 500,000 people there.
And then again, in different countries, in different, support sister marches. 408.
Yeah.
To raise your hand and say, I'll do it for Minneapolis.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? These people had to have been like, let me drop everything that I'm doing right now and get the infrastructure, get the permits, get the policing, get the speakers lined up, and get this route planned.
It's huge. It's a huge undertaking. In Cincinnati, Billy Mays did it.
Yeah.
And United We Stand. And well, you guys couldn't move either, right?
At first. So we met up at Washington Square Park,
Yeah.
and I remember I made a sign. It says, God, I love the smell of "Don't fuck with me" in the morning, because it was really early,
Yeah.
and it was really cold,
Yeah.
and I was like, I could feel the, like, when you breathe out and it looks a little frosty. And I was like, I love the smell of "Don't fuck with me." But my other friends made less, and I bleeped out the F word.
Oh, sure.
It was the F
For the children.
for the youngins.
Yeah.
And people brought their kids. It was
Yes,
cute.
it was
And
adorable.
they brought their sons, and their sons say, I'm marching for my sisters and my mom and for me. And then we had people on the sideline. You think you'd maybe see a protest or two. The people were they're saying, I'm not marching, but I'm holding the sign, watching you guys march, standing with you. You know what I mean? Like, people were on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Thank you for marching. And we didn't see any kind of protesters at all.
No.
Not like the North Side Parade this year when I saw a group of Yeah, it was like people. Yeah, it's like people came out and anti-protested. I think after the Women's March, and they see these peaceful movements, and they want to. So Billy organized it.
Yeah.
Beautiful speeches, march around, and then leave feeling like hugging people and saying like, we're in this together.
Yep.
Not every, it's a fight with some of us are going through.
Yeah.
And you understand that.
Yeah. Well, I'd heard that people had started to march, and people were coming back before other people could get onto the march route in Cincinnati.
Wow. So it had to be like a loop, like
It
a
was
snake.
it was a loop.
I think I was in the front-ish.
Gotcha.
Because I think I was like ready to go.
Yeah.
And and then people were chanting things I hadn't heard. So we would all just kind of pick it up and chant with it.
Yep.
Got a lot of cool Instagram vids. Nice. And then a lot of my friends said, hey, we didn't know about this. We would have gone with you had we known.
Oh, yeah.
And so let's go to it next year. So it's grown since then,
Yes,
correct?
it
So
absolutely
so
has grown
the
since
one I unfortunately did not go to 2018. I think I had a show away from my hometown, and I didn't join a sister march to organize. And I felt really kind of guilty about it. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? I think the intention's still there, and it will continue on without my help.
Yeah.
And
so after the march in 2017, they did a 100 days kind of movement.
Okay.
Yeah. So like the Women's March International put out this thing, and the directive was to like get small groups within your community and brainstorm different things you can do to improve your community. Think local, because that's where we can make the most impact.
So it wasn't just march and then go home and
you were
pray.
given homework.
Yeah.
You were given homework.
Which
and
is
I did.
good.
And
Yeah.
I did. I formed a mini group in Hamilton, Ohio, and people came. And it was a group of about 13, 15 people. And we just kind of sat together and we went, hey guys, how are y'all doing?
Yeah, how's it hanging? Let's do a emotion check-in.
Debrief,
How are you feeling? Yeah.
And then we brainstormed a bunch of different ways we could improve our community, and I honestly think that has helped. Like, we didn't stick with it. We didn't go back month after month, but just knowing that we are not alone, knowing that there are small steps we can take, and that you will be supported if you go and you try to take measures like get involved in local politics. Yeah. I had a friend who ran for office. Afterwards, yeah.
I've gone to city council meetings.
Yeah.
They had an open forum.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll just go. I just want to go to see how a city council meeting runs. And they give you 2 minutes as a citizen to speak on the floor. And I did. And it was something it was 2 p.m. on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Who can go to that?
Yeah.
I made time.
There you
So
go.
I did. It was me and 3 other people. And they each gave us 2 minutes. And, they were receptive to what I said. They weren't receptive to what a lot of the other people were saying. They kind of rolled their eyes at a lot of people, which made me, but like it does, I mean, Emily's list came out to empower women to take offices. So we did see an increase since then.
It was very impressive. Well, and I went to the Women's March conference in Detroit in October.
How was that?
It was a lot. It was a lot. I met so many women who were doing so many awesome things. That was both encouraging and very intimidating. But it was how can we affect 2018? How can we take steps to regain power and get more women in control? Here's the deal. Women are 51% of the population. We are not 51% of the representation. No. And it needs to change.
As I quote Ruth Bader Ginsburg, how many women have to be on the Supreme Court?
Yep.
How many women should we have? And she goes, until there's 9.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I don't understand how anyone could argue against that.
Right.
That doesn't seem logical.
No.
Because we should be in charge. Just because we have a different perspective.
Yeah, at least give us a say. All I ask is my brethren is take your foot off my neck. Sorry, I have all the Ruth quotes in my pocket ready to go. She's my freaking hero.
Yeah.
Just take your feet off our necks and just let us talk for a minute and then hear what we have to say because, we're going to come up with some shit.
Yes.
It's good.
The conference was about centering women of color because they know what they're doing. They've done this before.
Yep.
A lot of white women are new to this kind of civil engagement and this kind of work, and it was mostly let's get together and shut up and listen to these women of color who know what they're talking about.
Have been doing it for years.
Maxine Waters was the key.
Shut up.
She wasn't the keynote speaker because that was a big kerfluffle, but she was the opening speaker. And she was awesome.
I love listening to her.
Oh man, she was good. And that was a joy. Yeah. So that's what we ended up. That's what I took away from it was that we need to listen to women of color because they know what they're talking about and they've done this before and they've put in the work.
Even in the Gloria Steinem book, My Life on the Road, she talks about how they wanted her to speak at the International Women's Conference. She's like, no, these women of color should be speaking because they've been doing this way longer than I have and let's give them a platform. Yeah. And I loved that. I loved that kind of putting yourself on the sideline and saying, I don't know.
Let's lift up these people who know, who have the answers.
Right. And I feel like I want to make a disclaimer too. Like there's no wrong way to be a feminist as long as you're trying. The book Bad Feminist by Roxane Gay. I recommend everybody read that because as long as you're trying, like we all can kind of misstep sometimes. I remember someone saying white women voted for Trump, and I remember getting really defensive, being like, "No, not all of you know what I mean." And
not all.
I had to sit there and go, "She's not talking about me.
Yeah,
she's not talking about me, and she's making it's a fact. Yeah, it's a fact." So to take your stuff out of the equation as a personal attack, just because.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was an important...
Roxane Gay has personally attacked me.
Has she really?
She really has.
Are you kidding? Oh my God.
I mean that in the best way. So Roxane Gay has thrown shade at me. I went to her book signing she did for Hungry. I think the book was Hungry. Yep. And because I am extra, I wore a dress with pies on it. Also, I have pink hair, which you can't tell from me talking. And
I think they can tell.
Oh, they can tell. Oh, you can hear it in my voice. And I do like a pinup style.
Yeah.
So I do pinup, and I had my pie dress on. And she does her talk, and it's wonderful. And she is just charming and lovely. And she's a big girl. I'm a big girl. So I felt like, we are the same, you and me, Roxane Gay. Let's be sisters and friends forever.
I'm like cringing. I don't want to.
I hate meeting people that are famous.
No, it always lets you down.
Because I went up to her and she took a look at me and she went, "Whoa, you're a lot." And I was like,
That's not bad, though.
Yeah. I was like, I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Roxane Gay. She's like, no, I like it. I'm like, thanks, Roxane Gay.
Oh, that's it?
That was it.
Oh, that's not bad.
It
I thought she was going to be like, shh, stop talking. Like, she thinks she was going to be bad or
She was
something.
like, so nice to see you. I hate you. That's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's my fear.
No, I think that's,
whoa.
No, you're, I think you carry yourself in a way that people pay attention to you and go, I want to know who that person is.
Well, there's a whole chapter in her book. This is
sidebars.
Very sidebar.
Yeah.
There's a whole chapter in her book about how there a lot of women of size, larger, chunky and funky women, as myself, will dress hyper feminine and very put together and very like I don't know, all the makeup, all the hair done. And I do because I feel that's a way that I take up space. And I want to embrace like taking up space and being loud. And she talks about how much she admires that about these women, but that she cannot make herself do that.
But it's confidence to be able to do that, to be able to like, I'm okay with you looking at me.
Yeah. Yes. Please look at me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it came from that. I didn't understand it at the time because I had not actually read the entire book.
Okay.
Disclosure.
I want to say that I don't think it was. I want to say I would have been like, yeah, I am. Well, I understand. I get really insecure. I mean, I've met people and been like, oh my God, you did not like me. I know, from like, you were my hero, and now all I can think. I mean, Devin Sawa told me on Twitter to eat shit. No, wait, his followers told me to eat shit after he retweeted me. Yeah, so sometimes don't meet your heroes, guys.
Don't, guys.
Yeah, but okay.
He was cast for the Friendly
He was everybody's crush, and that happened. Sorry, we are sidebarring the hell out of this. But Maxine Waters, like meeting people like that. God, if I ever met someone, I just feel like I would say something stupid.
So stupid. All
How
the
do
time.
I not?
Yeah.
I only get verklempt around like comedians and like I can see like a sports player. See, I even call them sports player. That's how much I don't care.
With the sports balls.
That's how much I don't care about how famous they are.
Doing their running.
Yeah. And I'd be like, whatever.
Yeah.
Or like an actor or something, I'd be like, yeah. But if I see someone that I like really think is, I just say the dumbest things. Yep. I ask them a question that doesn't make sense and they just kind of look.
I met Neil Gaiman. Who's my favorite
the author? Yeah.
Who's my favorite author? It was after one of the first protests I've ever done. They were doing like this big, like gruesome anti-abortion thing down on Fountain Square. And so me and some ladies dressed up as various superheroes with big wings to try to block it. To try to distract and block because it was gross and it was in the middle of Fountain Square and I'm like, we don't need this here, guys. But I did that all morning and then I went to Lexington to see Neil Gaiman and it was a very long line. It was a big long wait.
Were you still wearing your superhero costume?
Not, but I was sweaty and gross.
You'd have been like, you're a lot.
Yeah,
you'd have been like, why do people keep saying that to me?
I'm just in a giant Batman outfit. No, but he's like, where I want to be like, you're my favorite author and I love you so much. Instead, I just went, cool pen.
Cool pen.
Cool pen. He's like, oh, thanks. And then my husband was with me and he shook his hand. But he had been writing like for 3 hours.
So his hand was probably
I'm sure he has to go like ice his hand every night. So yeah. Don't ever meet people. It's terrible.
I met a famous comedian who I opened for and I was so excited. I don't know if I should say her name or not.
Eliza.
But she's amazing.
Yeah.
And I met her and I went to shake her hand and I went to say like, thanks for having me on the show. And I said, thanks. And I kind of like mumbled off and she goes, whoa, we're going to need to fix that. And I was like, yeah, we are. It was my equivalent of that's a lot. I was like, no, look, you don't understand. Like, just give me a minute. And then we're fine. Yeah,
we're good.
Okay, so back to the march itself.
The Women's March. So yeah, Cincinnati 2018, I helped stage manage.
Which you're doing again this year.
Which I'm doing again this year. I get a clipboard.
Cool pens.
Even cooler than Neil Gaiman's pens.
And you guys have a lot of speakers come up to talk before the march. And what do they normally talk about?
So it was a march to the polls in 2018 because we really wanted to motivate people to go out and vote.
Yes.
Which they did. So high five, it worked. There was lots of problems. There was a contentious bit of business between, who was in charge. But it all worked out. And we had the march, and it was huge. It really was. I didn't get to
go to that one. Yeah.
But it was.
I feel like the bad feminist there.
Yeah,
but...
no, it was awesome. Though, no, you weren't the worst feminist, because the worst was, and I'm sorry if you're listening, was the lady. So I'm doing the stage managing. Did I tell you that? Doing the stage managing, and I'm like making sure people are where they're supposed to be.
Hey,
and up and.
Can I do my impression of her?
Yeah, please.
Hey.
Yeah.
When does it start?
I'm sorry.
When are we going to start marching?
Well, we just have like one or two more speakers, and then we're gonna.
Okay, I'm starting.
Oh.
Bye.
Okay.
Is that how it went?
That's literally how it went.
Oh my gosh.
She's like, I'm gonna go up to the front, and we're just gonna start. Like,
you're like, that's not how any of this works.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Because
did people follow her?
No.
Okay.
No one followed her. I don't yet. She probably, by the time she got back to her position, we were done with the speaking. There will be speakers this year before the march. So if you're not interested in that, maybe don't come at 12. Yeah. We'll have a DJ there this year starting at 11 if you want to come dance.
Hell yeah. And is Tribe or Muse playing?
Probably both.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure both are.
Okay.
And then at 12 was when we're going to start like the program. And if you're not into that, maybe don't come.
Yeah.
At that point.
It's mainly community members and local community members, as well as activists, as well as who else is doing the first part?
It's pretty much people to let you know what kind of things you can support, what kind of organizations you can donate to, put your time, put your effort, how to volunteer, and then what maybe smaller local races, representatives you can support, which is just good to be informed.
Yeah.
Like,
do you think that if they're listening outside of Cincinnati, if anybody is tuned in after our talk, how do they find out about what's going on in their march? Is it always organized on a Facebook group, or is there any other way to kind of?
If you go to March On or Women's March, just Google one of those two. There will be on their website, there will be like find a sister march.
Perfect.
You click on that, put in your zip code, and it'll take you to a sister march.
Guys, just put your comfy shoes on, put on a coat, make a cool sign, invite your best friend, and then just take a walk, get some steps in, and do it for yourself.
In Cincinnati, we're going to have speakers, and then we're going to march. It's about a mile. If you are unable to march, you can just stay in place. And when people get back, once the march is over, there will be more speakers, including somebody I know,
including me. I get to speak this year. I'm very excited to spread a positive feminine message, especially for the ones that are newer to the march, the ones that are just dipping their toes in. I would just love to give a kudos to everybody who planned it, and then do a little jokey jokes just to keep it light, and just like,
we need to have fun.
Let's have fun with it, and let's continue it throughout the year, because like you said, for some people it was just the march, and then what are the next, just kind of like, we did that now. Yeah. What is the next step?
The next step is 2020.
Yeah.
We have an election. We get to do the thing that makes us a democracy, and it is amazing. And this is just a celebration of us. So when we come back for the march, there will be food trucks, and there will be booths where you can find out information, how to support people, how to get in touch with people who are like-minded, and then listen to funny comedians like Kelly and other speakers do inspirational speeches, and just refill that like bucket of goodwill that maybe is depleted after the holidays, having to spend it with your family.
And just as a note, like, you do a lot of stuff for this. You stage manage. It seems like you're doing a lot in the Hamilton community. You're getting out there, and you're like really walking the walk.
I'm trying.
You're not even talking the talk. You're walking the walk with it. So first of all, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And then how does that make you feel after the event is done? What kind of feeling does that give you as someone who's been through all that and seen that with your students? Like, to walk the walk, how does that impact you?
It's lovely. It feels good. But it's also makes me feel like I'm a part of something that is centuries old. Centuries old. Because women are who get shit done. Like, I don't know if everyone knows. Women were the first union organizers. Women are the reason why we have the weekend. Women make life better for everybody.
Yeah.
In my classroom, I'm an 8th grade teacher. I teach a book called Uprising, which is about the Triangle Shirtwaist Fires.
Which is, as a former safety person, the first thing I learned about emergency exits and sprinkler systems and all the things that happened to these poor immigrant teenage girls who had no rights and had to work in this basically what they call a sweatshop that caught on fire.
Yep. And it's because of those teenage girls that we have so many of the safety measures in place today and workers' rights that we have today. So women make that stuff happen. Yes. And so it connects me to those women, the women of the suffrage movement.
Can we talk about that for just a second? I mean, to not have the right to vote, to not have the right if your husband were to divorce you, to have your children because you're a woman, to not have workers' rights, to not have any of this, the ways that they had to go about it. How do you think that is in comparison to what we do now?
I mean, people don't realize it's only been, 30 years? Like, I think 1990
is yesterday. So
1990 was yesterday.
Don't ask me any of it.
But in the 70s, it was not legal for a woman to have her own credit card. Like, yeah. And that's a generation.
Marital rape was legal until 93.
Yeah.
Spouse rape?
Yeah.
You could do that. So
there are generations one removed from us who did not have nearly the number of rights that we do. Yeah. And that it's easy. It's easy to go look around and go, well, everything seems okay to me.
Yeah.
Everything's all right.
My life is fine.
Yeah. But if you just scratch the surface, just the tiniest bit of history, you'll see that, we are standing on the shoulders of women and women of color, and we are standing on the shoulders of men and men of color who have done the work to bring us to where we are today. So
I remember I joined a sorority, and the reason that my sorority was founded because they didn't want a women's sorority at the school that I went to. A man had to go in and advocate for it. And I remember the first time I was like, "What? Men stick up?
Yeah,
men are feminists too?
Yeah,
yeah." And yeah, sorry, just a side note. Like, men can be feminists too, and we love you,
and we need you, and we need you.
Right?
We can't do this alone.
No.
We need everybody to join us.
Yeah,
because we get shit done.
Yeah, help us do it. Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's make the world a better place. And having a kid has made me a stronger feminist too, because I want to make the world. It's not just me. It's everybody. It's all of us. It's the future.
Yeah. And if you think about the women that are changing the climate right now, the Greta Thunbergs and
bless her heart.
And Jamila, and I'm trying to think of all the people that are out there, young and
generation.
And,
this generation. So I went to see Mean Girls.
The musical.
The musical.
Yeah,
and
very good.
It was lovely, but they updated it. They put it in today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a misstep, because the kids I see today in high school are not the kids who were in Mean Girls. The plastics are visco girls who are
few and far between.
Yeah,
probably.
well, no, they're girls who are concerned and educated and smart. Like the stereotypes that we grew up with, of what it is to be a teenager, I don't think are what is motivating the kids of today. Like, I am very hopeful looking into the future and looking at the kids who are taking up causes and really going forward,
thinking outside themselves.
Yes,
and they're empowered to do so now.
And yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
future's bright.
The future's bright, and both the future and the past is female.
Yeah.
And we're just returning to our past.
Yeah. So let's do it together.
Let's
okay.
do it together, guys.
So the march will be, is it nationally on January 18th or is that just our local
I think it's nationally.
Okay.
Yeah. Nationally on January 18th, we'll be at Sawyer Point Park. We're going to rally the P&G Pavilion, and then we'll do a 1 mile march and come back there. And then there'll be performers and booths and food trucks and vendors. On January 16th, there'll be a sign making party from 6 to 8 p.m. at Kennedy Heights Art Center. So if you want to come and make a fun sign before then, you're welcome to join us there and do that. But yeah.
And when people can't attend the march, what is something that maybe suggest that they can do to get involved or just feel this community sense?
Donate. Find a cause that ignites passion in you and donate. Write postcards to your congressmen and women and your representatives about issues that you believe in. Get involved.
Mm-hmm.
It's not hard to get involved. It's just, you gotta do it.
Yeah.
Which is tough in this world where we have so many things to do. So I hate telling people to put an extra thing on their plate.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to, there's so many ways to get involved.
Yeah. Set aside a couple days a year.
Yeah.
Once a quarter, just set aside an hour and say, this is my postcard making hour.
Yeah.
I'm going to write 3 postcards about 3 different issues that I feel passionate about.
Yeah.
And
be informed. I know there's so much information out there and it's conflicting and it's tough.
Such a good point.
Feel free to take breaks.
I could not even look on the internet today.
No.
No.
Not
The
gonna do it.
apocalypse is here. This podcast isn't even going to come out. It's going to be
There'll be another apocalypse.
No, by then, yeah. So
it's all doom and gloom, but try your best to stay informed. Find people that you really connect with and support them.
Yep.
Fight for the things you love.
I'm living my best life.
Special thanks to Alison Rampa for being my guest on the podcast. I'm including some of her photos from the Women's March on her Instagram account. Go over there and show us some love. As always, if you have a festival suggestion or an event suggestion that you want me to talk about, send it over to festlifepodcast@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram. And thanks always to Phil from Me Compadre for doing the editing for the show. Appreciate you a lot. Everybody, go fest yourselves.